Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the State of Greater Western New York Report. We've got a very fascinating and interesting guest who's going to tell you all about what's going on with freelancers in the Western New York region. That's right. If you have a job, a gig, something, it could be part time, it could be what you do full time. There's a lot of issues that you want to know about. And guess what? There's an event coming up next week that just might answer those questions. You're watching the State of Greater Western New York Report, and of course, as it is every week, it's brought to you by...
Each week, our community makes history. Each week, you make history. And each week, there's only one source to turn to for the first take on history. You know what that is? Subscribe to the Sentinel right now to discover the history being made in your own backyard. The Menden Honeoye Falls Lima Sentinel. More than just your news, it's your history. Welcome, everyone, to this edition of the State of Greater Western New York Report. Join us each episode as we discuss fantastic topics ranging from history to science to the strange and the wonderful, as well as the treasured spirit with which our region has infused America. We challenge you to consider all things Greater Western New York, from our region's very beginnings to how it inspires, how it empowers, and why it is so admired. Here's the host of the State of Greater Western New York Report, Chris Carosa.
Hello once again, and welcome to today's State of Greater Western New York Report. I'm Chris Carosa. With me today is Marie Rachelle. She's the Executive Director of Freelance Buffalo and Beyond, and she is going to be telling us about a very special event that is occurring next week. But first, let's talk about Maria. Maria, how are you doing today?
Hi, it's Marie, but I get that a
Marie,
lot.
I'm
We
sorry.
practiced too.
I know we
We
practiced.
practiced. You got so excited. Hi, it's great to be here. So Freelance Buffalo and Beyond is wonderful. It's actually our fourth annual conference. And we added the Beyond because Rochester and Erie will be joining us for their first freelance week this year. So we're really excited about that. And at the same time, I'm also opening Convergence Coworking, so it's Hamburg's first co-working space. So a
Ah,
lot going on, but super
well,
super
well,
happy and excited to be here.
before we
Yeah.
get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you're from, how'd you get interested in all this, and what's
Oh,
your vision of the future, at least for Marie?
yeah, that's the million dollar question. So I actually started freelancing in 2014 as a social media manager, content writer. Kind of grew into like a coach for freelancers and a speaker, and I I started hosting Freelance Week in 2019. So just my whole life has been really towards entrepreneurship. Whether it be working for yourself or starting a small business, and then just naturally, I've always been a connector and a networker. I'm a social butterfly, so I love connecting those people who maybe otherwise wouldn't have known each other. So everything I do is definitely a lot of fun. It feels like it's more like play than work.
And you grew up in the Western New York region. That
Oh yeah, I
Tell us a
did. So
little
I grew
bit
up in the
about
LA
that, and,
girl.
and maybe how growing up here maybe inspired you to do what you're doing now.
Well, actually, on a podcast recently, I just mentioned how, I was raised on a farm, a 100-acre dairy farm, and my parents were both entrepreneurs. So it's really great to kind of see everything they've embedded in me come out, whether I knew it or not. But reflecting on it now, I definitely got a lot from them. So super grateful.
That's great. So tell us now a little bit first of all about your business and what you're seeking in terms of the types of jobs that you do and who you probably serve.
So now my focus is really opening this co-working space. Will be open in a couple of weeks and hosting this event. This event can be very big, and it does take a lot of time. So really, I would love to focus more on continuing to build the freelance community in Buffalo and beyond, outside of Freelance Week, happening the 18th to the 22nd. We plan on, we're partnering with the Freelancers Union to host monthly sessions. And then there's always a lot of different wheels turning as far as building community in this space. So I won't be have a shortage of work, that's for sure.
So tell us a little bit about the organization. How many people are actively involved in it, or how if someone's interested in joining, how would they contact you? How would they find out about
Absolutely. So, as I said, we have Buffalo, Rochester, and Erie. So, Rochester is being organized by Madison Berkalia of Rosella Studio, which is a boutique design studio. She does brand and design for like eco-friendly products and things. It's just, there's a better explanation than what I just said. And then also by Jess Royer and Amanda Duncan in Erie, PA, which they actually work at a co-working space called Radius, and they're incredible. So on both in both or all three cities, we're really intent on building communities there, and we chose freelancers and entrepreneurs to do that.
And again, if someone's interested in joining your group, where would they go? Would they go to a website or?
Yeah. So if
Okay.
they're interested in joining, you can find us at freelancebuffaloandbeyond.com. We're on all the social media channels too. We have different ones, but Freelance Buffalo and Beyond, you can pretty much find everything. Um, all of our live updates are mostly on social, but our website has all of our ticket information. If you're interested in volunteering, um, or getting involved, that would be definitely just reach out to us. We're just human beings. So.
So tell us a little bit about the venues, particularly in Buffalo and Rochester, where people can expect to go and how some of I know in Rochester, for example, it's at two different sites. But explain a little
Mhm.
bit about that so they get a feel for where they're going to go, what time they should be there, and maybe how long they're going to last. Also, any
Yeah,
special things
so
you got going on afterwards.
people are really impressed. So we have dozens of speakers and dozens of sessions throughout the week. You can see the agendas specifically at Freelance Week Buffalo and freelanceweekrochester.com. They have their separate links. In Rochester, we're hosting at Sibley Square, Metro Cowork Metro Collective, which is Port 100 Cowork. Sorry, they changed the name. And then also at Spot Cowork in Rochester. So there's three. Um, and the sessions are scattered throughout the week. They are also doing a kickoff party on Tuesday. Uh, oh, at Native. Yes, I don't want to get that wrong. You can probably tell me if that's right. At Native on Tuesday evening. So we have networking events in the evening. And in Buffalo, we're hosting at 4 locations. So we have Trek, which is in Niagara Falls. They're an incubator space run by Niagara University. We have Serendipity Labs, which is actually in Buffalo's tallest building, Seneca One, and we have which is gratefully our headlining sponsor, the Innovation Center by the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus. Most of our events in Buffalo are hosted there, and we're also hosting down in Unova, which is in Springville, New York. So I know you have a passion for like rural areas and small cities, and it's really great to have a co-working space in Springville. And it's been open for a few years, so it's really incredible. Our kickoff party is Monday night at Fatty Beer downtown, but every single night we have a networking event of some sort. We'll be all over. So like Fatty Beer, Lloyd's. We're actually doing a soft open house at my co-working space. So Convergence is on Wednesday. Thursday we have a happy hour at Trek because the entire day is placed there. And then on Friday is like the big shebang. It's it's a closing party in Buffalo. Everyone from Rochester and Erie are encouraged to come. I have food, like finger foods, drinks scheduled to be there, and I actually have live music by Ebo. So he's a Buffalo-born artist. He tours all over now. So it'll be really fun to have him playing some live music. We'll have our drinks and our food, and really everyone networking together. And something super special about that event is that we actually have the CEO of the Freelancers Union, the founder of the Kansas City Freelance Exchange, and then two co-working space owners from Sarasota Springs and Erie, the owner of Radius, they're actually coming to Buffalo to speak on a panel discussion prior to the closing party, and then obviously we'll all kind of be there to celebrate them and the week itself. So it'll be really exciting, and I know something we wanted to talk about was like freelancing and where it's going in a more black and white sense, as far as like legislation, the economy, and how we're fueling those kinds of things. So, the rest of the week is a lot of fun and encouragement and motivation and helping us keep our heads on straight as far as running our own businesses. But at the end of the week, it's kind of just like hey, this is how we really impact our economy. This is what's really impacting us as far as laws go. So we're going to be discussing everything freelance all next week.
So you made me think about something when you mentioned Springville, and that is, in terms of media coverage for this event, have you been able to, make connections with, say, TV stations, radio stations, or even local newspapers to have reporters there or rearrange interviews, at least to either to promote the event or to show what's going on? Because I think this is a pretty big deal, and I think that some media would probably be interested in learning more about what you're doing.
Thank you. Interestingly enough, I was on the AM Buffalo show for Channel 7 on Monday, which was so fun. Melanie Camp hosted me. It was really fun, and we actually got to celebrate her birthday. That was nice. We always send out our press releases, but I guess you're right. I didn't officially invite press to kind of come hang out with us and see what it's about. I guess that's the best way to understand a story you're covering, is to come for yourself. So yeah, open call. If anyone wants to come, as press, hit me up. I'll get you a ticket.
Well, just to make sure everybody knows, we'll be broadcasting live from the Rochester event next Thursday. It's going to be our first live broadcast, remote live broadcast that we've done. This is not Studio B like what we did last week. This is actually on the road live. It's going to be an experiment,
That's
so you
awesome.
can tune in and watch us mess up.
Oh, stop.
But
I wish you guys could be there with me. So yeah, for anyone who watches this now or after, if you're in Buffalo and you want to come cover us live, we would love that. That'd be great.
and also, I'm thinking Springville. You've got a local newspaper there, a
Oh
community
yeah. The
newspaper.
Journal, good old
You want
Journal, the Springville Journal.
Yep, you want to contact them. I'll be actually talking to the publisher in a couple of weeks, so I'll follow up with him and I'll ask him, "Hey, did you cover
Oh,
that
sure.
event?" And he'll say,
I
"Yes."
appreciate that.
You better say yes.
All right. Okay. You gave me a task. I got
So,
it.
all right. So, if again, if somebody wants to go to the event, either in Buffalo or Rochester, to sign up, again, tell us how to do that. Tell us what they need to. They have to show evidence that they're a freelancer, or whatever sort of requirements there are to be able to attend the event. What might those be?
Absolutely. So again, the website is freelancebuffaloandbeyond.com. You can separately see each city's agendas at Freelance Week Buffalo or Freelance Week Rochester or Freelance Week Erie.com. Sorry, I didn't mention that earlier. Um, you can see every agenda for each city. It's impactful because we have all these sessions running simultaneously in 3 cities across our region. So it's super fun to watch, and it's impressive if I look at it from an outside view. It's a lot of work, a lot of time, money, and effort goes into this, and we really couldn't do it without our sponsors. But if you want to attend, again, freelancebuffaloandbeyond.com. You can reach us out to us on social media. We're Freelance Buffalo, Freelance Rochester, Freelance Erie. If you Google it, hopefully it shows up, and you're not, Freelance Week in your city. Hopefully you'll find it. That's the easiest way to get in touch with us. So you don't have to be a freelancer. There's no way to prove it. If you've got a side hustle, or if you aspire to have a side hustle, say you're working for yourself, or even if you're a small business owner, the sessions that we have and the topics that we cover really apply to any type of business. Like I said earlier, we focus on freelancers, but the topics and discussions are really applicable to anyone.
The the interesting thing about this is that when you say it's applicable to anybody, is that I think a lot of people don't realize that they're actually in this group of people. They're a freelancer. It could be
That's
something that
true.
they just do as a hobby right now, but they're charging for it. An art or a craft that they really enjoy doing, gives them a lot of emotional release. But then they go and turn around and sell the works at flea markets or wherever it is. That's a freelancer. That's like a freelancer.
Yep.
If you're
Yeah.
working for yourself and providing a service to somebody else, a service or product to somebody else, you're being a freelancer. So all these sessions are really
I
relevant to
couldn't have said
you.
it better. That was pretty good. I might borrow that.
Well, we're gonna take a break here for a commercial. When we come back, we're gonna talk about some of those issues that are important to freelancers, and maybe what the hot topics are, what the not. We'll be right back.
Through the mists of time, nature and man have both created and buried treasures beyond the imagination. With the ages, these riches slowly dissolve into mere myths until they are forever forgotten. But there are those brave souls who tirelessly cling to the truth, ever seeking to discover the undiscovered, to reveal what has always been there, to uncover the hidden gems of a land thought forsaken but loved by millions. 50 Hidden Gems of Greater Western New York. Discover the secrets in your own backyard. Buy your copy now at 50hiddengems.com.
So, Marie, we just got a question from someone in the audience. They wanted to know if they can't make the event next week, is there a way to, say, watch it on replay? Or is there a way that they can maybe join the group as a member and get information about future events? How might they do that? Oops, wait a second, Marie. You're on mute. I can't hear you.
I did do that. I did do that. So sorry. Um, so with the way things have been for the last couple of years, I really was very adamant about an in-person only event. So these events will be happening all day, every day. We will have nightly events for people who maybe can't attend during the day. And there aren't any recordings at this time, which I do understand is unfortunate, but I really wanted to encourage people to come out to see us. But as you said, please reach out to us. Please join our email lists, and we will be hosting monthly events in conjunction with the Freelancers Union. They're called Spark events for monthly like networking and educational sessions throughout the year to kind of keep that going. And then, as there's more interest, I mean, we'll do more events. I just need to know where the freelancers are. It's kind of like the book, Where the Wild Things Are. It's more like where the freelancers are.
Are the freelancers. All right, so let's talk about some of the topics that are of interest to freelancers right now. You've got, I've looked at the list. There's a lot of different topics and subject areas that you're talking about. In your mind, what is the hottest topic that freelancers are talking about right now? The ones that they're asking questions.
So right now, and as you look at our agenda, a lot of things you'll notice are pretty holistic. So our theme this year is finding your freedom with freelance. With the last couple of years, people, were either really digging into their side hustle or maybe starting one finally. Unfortunately, people have been laid off or lost their jobs, and it pumped up our industry a little bit, which is super nice. Um, there's actually a statistic out there that's like 50% of people or more are interested in launching something on their own if they've thought about it in the past. So that's really great for us, and we want to be a resource for those people in our areas. And yeah, I think that was it.
So, all right, that's the hottest topic.
The train of thought was finished. That was definitely the hottest. The staying healthy and
all right. So based on your
starting your own thing, like yeah.
Right. Based on your own experience and maybe the experience of the people that you know, what is the question that freelancers don't ask, but they should?
Definitely. I mean, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and we have some sessions on that as well. And then also knowing the nitty-gritty. So the business side of things, we questions like that as well. We have an attorney come in, we have a business insurance person come in, we have an accountant come in. Those black and white things that maybe not so exciting, but they're definitely necessary to be successful in this career because it's hard. And then also, how we're impacting the economy. It's really amazing to feel like you're a part of a community and a business that, you're fulfilling your own needs by doing something that you love, but you're also feeding the economy in a proper way. And I guess that kind of goes into some other things that we wanted to talk about, economy and laws and those kinds of things.
That's a good segue. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. First, let's talk about the bad part of law. So there was a law that was passed several years ago in California called AB 5, which essentially redefined what contractors are. And freelancers are sort of like uh, legal definition of the term. They redefined
Yep.
contractors that, in such a way that it made them employees, which increased the cost of businesses to hire them. And there was actually a positive for this. They wanted to give freelancers the same benefits that regular employees got. However, in exchange for that, it made it harder for freelancers to get jobs. Can you explain why that happens that way? Why this isn't why even though it's sort of positioned as a benefit for freelancers, why freelancers might actually be hurt by
Absolutely. So interestingly enough, we have a session coming up. It's maintaining your 1099 status, and it's with Emily Martin of Ally HR Partners, and she's going to help us explain how we set up our business and maintain ourselves, because it is troublesome, because we've honestly likely left a job where we were an employee to do what we do. So there's no way that we really want to do that again. And it really comes down to the paperwork. So coming to Emily's session, learning about how to maintain your 1099 status. And then we also have a couple business attorneys coming in to speak. Those are the people that, when you start your business, you really need to have, like solid agreements and solid standards and procedures for what you do, because we really are a small business, even though like most of the time as a freelancer, you're working for yourself. But it really comes down to your agreements and how you set up your business and your relationships with your clients. And we will talk all about that in our sessions.
So we just had another question come in. I don't know if you can answer this, but this person wants to know, is it okay to start off as a sole proprietorship, or are there advantage? What do most people do, I guess? That's really
Yeah, I would absolutely divert to an attorney, and I am not an attorney, but sole proprietorships, I established myself in LA when I first started, for that level of protection. But definitely consult, with your attorney or contract or attorney or accountant on that. Or you could just come to the event and ask all your questions there. It's great because we have two attorneys, volunteering their time. I mean, come ask your questions for sure.
So I just might add this little tidbit. And again, you want to talk to a professional on this, whether it's an attorney or an accountant. If you are a parent of small children and you own your own business, depending on how your business is set up, you might be able to have some tax advantages by hiring your kids. Obviously, they have to be able to work and do something for
They
real.
have to
But
be of age. Yeah,
yeah.
not my 9-year-old or my 5-year-old, not yet.
So actually, Marie, I would say talk to your accountant first, or
For sure.
whoever you're working about,
They
because
don't
they're
they
your
don't want to work for
child. You
me.
might be surprised what you could use them for. But anyways, going back to what we're talking about in terms of the laws. Now, there's another law that's being pushed within New York State that's actually a good law, a positive law. Tell us a little bit about that and how it helps freelance.
Absolutely. So I recently connected with Raphael Espinal, who is the CEO of the Freelancers Union. He will actually be at the closing party and speaking in the closing panel for Freelance Buffalo on Friday the 22nd. So him and I have been in contact, and he passed in the 5 boroughs in New York City a law. It's called Freelance Isn't Free, and in short, it protects freelancers from non-payment, which is really amazing. Obviously, it's tied to the freelancers union, so they have that camaraderie and that backing to help them protect themselves with this law in the 5 boroughs of New York City. But recently, I went to the state capitol with Raphael and a couple other freelancers and other organizations who would benefit from this, to get the wheels moving and turning on getting this passed into a state law, which would be amazing. And then on a personal note, I've brought it up in the city of Buffalo to see if that's something that I can move forward. So we're making strides. We're going to start with New York first and go from there.
Excellent. So going back again to generally what freelancers are living, what what is the biggest surprise that pleasant surprise that you've seen freelancers experience once they get off and start on their own? What's something that happens that really makes them smile that they didn't quite expect?
The fact that you can work from anywhere is pretty cool. I mean, that's usually the reason people start freelancing is because, you become a laptop warrior or a keyboard warrior, whatever you want to call it. But you really work on your own time, and hopefully you're working in something that you love, and you have the freedom to choose, the clients that you want to work with or don't work with, and you don't get that with a job. And something I've said recently too is that if a job is for you and you need that stability in the 9 to 5, that's great. But I love that kind of whirlwind mess, like super challenging, not always easy, but when it is going very well, it's super fulfilling. So I guess the surprise is, being able to control your own things. It's like, oh wow.
You mentioned something about this, or at least you hinted about this earlier, and that is how the freelance entrepreneurial gig economy really helps boost the community. So it's giving back in a way that makes the community stronger. Can you embellish on that a little bit? Give an example or two on how that works and how we actually want more people to be independent when it comes to their own business, their own jobs.
Yeah, if you're interested and you believe you have what it takes, we do our best to give you the resources to do that. Um, I'm so sorry. Can you
So
can you
how does it
go back?
benefit the community? That's what we're looking
Yes,
for.
thank you. Okay. Sorry. I didn't drink a coffee today. So benefiting the community, I mean, it's great. You can, like I said, you can work from anywhere. So, I may physically be in Manhattan right now, but I can live in Buffalo and have clients out of New York City, out of LA, out of Toronto, who uh, most of the time, once you're really good at what you do, like they'll pay you really well. So as a freelancer, it's nice because you can earn money from pretty much anywhere in the world, and then you can spend it in your favorite place in the world, right? So wherever you're living, or whatever other small businesses you'd like to support, um, you know, there's a lot of grants and contracts that you can work with as a freelancer. For example, if there's higher education grants and they hire someone like me to come in and teach marketing or any, that money is already being spent, and I'll go and I'll teach and I'll earn that money. And then where do I spend it? I spend it on my kids, their PTA fundraisers. I spend it at local boutiques. Also like open co-working spaces. So that money is being reinvested back into the community. So it's nice to be able to get the money where it is, regardless of your location, and then investing in your community.
So it's the classic example of the benefit of buying local. And it really is, it does amplify the local economy a lot if you're purchasing things from local businesses. There's another thing that I think freelancers have an advantage of over, say, 9 to 5 workers, and that is free time. Can you explain how that works? And I know, so as an entrepreneur, you know that there's no such thing as free time. You're on the clock 24/7, which is true.
Absolutely.
But there's some flexibility that you don't normally have, and you can do things maybe that regular 9 to 5 workers can't do. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. One thing that I really love and think that we got out of having a pandemic is that the corporate workplace has really moved strides forward as far as work remote options and flexibility and understanding that we're not just created and placed on this earth to work in an office, which is amazing. So it's nice to have that in the corporate side, but also when you do it for yourself, like for example, me right now, I'm in Manhattan, I'm from Buffalo, I'm here, but I'm still doing the same kind of, and just it's nice to be able to control your schedule. Yes, you may work all the time for a little while, but like I said on a podcast too, is my freelance career has never left me. Whether I was starting off and I only worked 2 hours a day, it was there. When I, was having kids and I really didn't have time for it, it was still there. I didn't do anything with it, but it was there. And then, once I decided to ramp up that business and go full time, it was there. It's what you make of it. And that's what I really love about it is it's really the most stable job you'll ever have. And if you're doing it right, you can do really well. You can make a lot of money. You just have to be very dedicated.
That's right. Not only that,
And
but
setting boundaries. Setting
oh,
boundaries is important. Obviously, you can work a lot, but setting boundaries, and you have the freedom to do that for yourself, of course. So,
right. And you also have the freedom to join organizations, join, civic organizations, community
yeah.
organizations. You don't have a
Yeah, you
boss
can give
telling
back
you
in the
whether or
ways
not
that
you.
you want.
Right, right.
Yeah.
This is great. Well, Marie, thank you very much. Our audience, I think, has a lot of questions. I would encourage you to go to the event uh, in either city that's closest to you over the next week, or just like Marie said, join their email list so that you can learn more about what they've got going on. And speaking of email lists, if you want to be a member of the audience and ask questions for our guests, go to stateof.greaterwesternewyork.com and you'll receive a private invitation every Thursday morning to show up in our live studio broadcast so that you can ask the questions. If you can't make it live, that's all right. You can always watch the show on our website. It's archived immediately in the afternoon, or you can see it rebroadcast every Sunday at 1:30 on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. So you can subscribe or like or whatever it is you do to those things, and it'll automatically tell you that the show's about to start. So, Marie, thank you again for being a part of today's show,
Thank
for
you.
taking the
I
time,
really
because I know
appreciate it.
you're on the road. Yeah, great.
All
Audience, thank
good.
you for being here. And everybody else, we'll see you next week. Bye bye for now.